I think I stand with Rahul Gandhi in the sense it's very important for public leaders or the opposition to not only critique for the sake of critiquing, but to be watchdogs on the establishment. Because I was not a typical communist, the stereotypical candidate. I didn't carry jholas. I didn't wear bifocals. The people who were the perpetrators of the crime were members of the ruling party. Is Mamta Banerjee protesting against Mamta Banerjee?
Yes.
It has got corroded with a lot of scams. We've seen the education scams that has kind of tethered at her, at her party. The people see Trinamool Congress as a very strong, antidote to the Bharatiya Janata Party. I think Rekha is fun to hang around with. When we met her, I think she's quite ethereal to look at.
Hi, Saira. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Aakriti. Thank you for having me over.
You never wanted to be a politician, but you still ended up standing for the by-elections in Calcutta and had the vote share increase from 5% to 30% back in 2022.
All right, great. So, Aakriti, that's an interesting question. I think my candidature and the entire campaign during the Baliganj by-poll election 2022 raised a lot of eyebrows because I was not a typical communist, the stereotypical candidate. I didn't carry jholas. I didn't wear bifocals. I didn't wear Kolhapuri chappals. And suddenly, out of the blue, I was a very different left candidate for a very important election because the incumbent candidate, Mr. Shubroto Mukherjee, had just passed away. And that is when the by-poll, for the assembly election was announced in 2022. And I was pitted against a heavyweight candidate like Babul Supriyo from the TMC. And it garnered a lot of national media, which, doesn't usually cover a by-election of this sort. However, I feel fortunate that the party approached me and I could, manage to increase the vote share from 5% to 30% within a year.
Yeah, and coming from a very renowned background, your father is Lieutenant Zameeruddin Shah.
Lieutenant General, yeah.
Lieutenant General Zameeruddin Shah,
Yeah.
and you're the niece of Naseeruddin Shah. How's that played out for you from the very beginning?
All right. So, as far as my army background is concerned, I grew up like all four of us. We have four siblings. We grew up idolizing a dad. He used to come in his starch green olive uniform on the breakfast table. And we all were in awe of him that he was doing something for the country. My father is a 71 war veteran. He fought a war against Pakistan that liberated Bangladesh. So we were all very enamored by his sense of duty to the country. So that somehow has remained embedded in all of us, and I wanted to do some public good as well, because there's a certain legacy, of course, and you carry the weight of it, but you also carry the wind on your back, where you feel empowered and you feel this sense of urgency to take the legacy forward. So that has affected me. My uncle Nasir, of course, we've seen him performing in plays. He's been a big theatre person, and we were invited to all his plays, waiting for Godot, whether it was Arms and the Man, Einstein, everything. And we've seen how he works behind the scenes. I think so. His journey in the creative arts also inspired me. My dad's army career has inspired me. So yes, there is a pressure, but it's a nice kind of a pressure.
You, in your political advocacy, are mostly talking about women rights, women representation. So I do want to understand that right now, even though half of population of India are women, there is only a 14% representation when it comes to the Lok Sabha. And at least in the next 5 to 7 years, we don't see a change. What is your plan of action when it comes to that sort of representation?
See, regarding the women's reservation bill, I think it's more about political will than the question of not having competent women leaders. We have a lot of competent women leaders, but I think various governments have somehow, I feel, have let down the women of the country, because we're still waiting for the next election 2029 to finally see the dawn of the day. And I think if the sense of urgency is there, we can have it all rolled out. So I think it's about lack of political will rather than, the competency of women leaders.
And back in the elections of 2024, where you were contesting, the CPIM was in alliance with Congress.
Yeah.
And you've closely worked with them.
Yeah.
And we can see a lot of suspicion around the election results. For example, the vote chori topic that the opposition has recently flagged.
What is your stance on that?
I think I stand with Rahul Gandhi in the sense it's very important for public leaders or the opposition to not only critique for the sake of critiquing, but to be watchdogs on the establishment. Because what happens is when a political party is in a majority or an overwhelming majority, there are no checks and balances. So it's very important for the leader of the opposition to be on a constant vigil regarding the performance of the government. And if there are integrity issues as far as polling is concerned, then the concerned people, who run the elections in the country, who man the elections, they need to be asked very tough questions, and also the political party in power. And I think he's doing a phenomenal job of that. And I would love to amplify, whatever wrong is happening in the country, critique the powers to be where it's important, not for the sake of, criticism.
Yeah. The entire fiasco of Delhi stray dogs that happened a couple of weeks ago, do you think that was a cover over the vote chori process?
It was a cover because, and all this at the same time, I feel a lot for animals. We've always had a pet. What I, do not understand is this selective outrage and selective, activism. If you are seeing the marginalized somehow, if their houses are getting moved down by the bulldozer politics or some draconian politics, I think you should equally raise a voice then as you raise for animals. I have definitely spoken about animals, but at the same time, if I see that the already disempowered and the marginalized find themselves rudderless without a shelter, without a roof on their head, I think it's time when citizens of the country should speak up about these vital issues as well.
But I mean, as citizens of the country, it is our job to talk about obviously what we feel for, but it is the government's job to take care of everything. They can't say that one is more important than the other, right? Because they are running the government.
Yeah.
So, do you think that they play against this, like one against the other in today's politics?
I'll just say one thing that you must have read 1984 by George Orwell, right? That when a power goes unchecked, right, it becomes a vigilant state. And it's very important for the opposition forces also to come together so that, there's a semblance of a healthy democracy. Otherwise, we will not be a democracy any longer. We are still a democracy, but I think in a democracy, all kinds of voices are equally important. And if you start subjugating one voice or start muffling one voice, or you start arresting dissenters who practice, the very basic fundamental right that is enshrined in the constitution is right to dissent. If you're going to muffle those voices for a peaceful protest or for speaking about some draconian law that is being passed, then, I think the whole question of being democratic is under a big, question mark.
And multiple times you've called out several other renowned celebrities like Kangana Ranaut and Vir when it comes to their freedom of speech and what they're saying. And you've also altered their idea by calling them a disrespect towards the country. So when do you think like there is a fine line between freedom of speech and disrespecting a nation?
See, I have openly criticized Kangana Ranaut's, complete, I feel, the comments that she's made against some very, very important freedom fighters. Fine, it's okay to be siding with the political party. However, you can't discredit or disrespect our freedom fighters. I think that is something I take cognizance to, and I take it very sensitively. Regarding Vir Das, I mean, he is a satirist, he's a comedian, and everything is fine as long as you don't run the country, country down in a foreign land. And I think he's well within his rights to, bring in satire. And I think what he said was, was fine because he has a certain opinion. But you cannot criminalize certain, just because he has a certain way of expressing what is wrong in the country. I feel when you're abroad, it's good to talk about the dark side and the bright side, and harp more on what is good, so that anyone, any international diplomat would understand the country from that lens. If you just talk about, oh, all is so dreary, all is so grey, all is so dark, and India is full of rapists and India is full of crimes, and nobody would want to come here. I've spoken at so many global platforms. I was representing India at the NAM conference in Baku, like 2 years ago, and I spoke about the evolution of Indian women to the freedom struggle. I might criticize policies of the government. I might criticize politicians, but I would never criticize my country abroad. So that's the main thing.
But don't you think maturity comes with accepting that that is comedy?
I also like Veer Das's stand on multiple issues. The point here is that the sense of free speech also comes with a certain responsibility when you are representing a nation outside. And I think both of them, in their own rights, are powerful people in the sense they have a number of followers and people do follow their work. At the same time, I feel while representing a country, probably you can just tweak your verbiage. I think that would go a far way.
I think a very important question for our listeners is also what the drastic rape case that happened in 2024. There has been no consequence, there has been no conclusion of it. Why is that so? What is CPIM as opposition planning to do when it comes to such heinous crimes? And that's not the only crime. In fact, that was just the beginning for a place like Calcutta, which we were just discussing in the car, that it has been one of the most liberating cities growing up. To having such heinous crimes. What is the political stance on it right now? Everything seems to have disappeared as if it never happened.
See, we were all protesting against this very heinous Arjika rape and murder case, because you see, Calcutta has always epitomized a sense of being a safe city compared to the other metropolitan cities. Here is something that you step out of the airport, you can take a taxi, you can take a Uber, and nobody, eve teases you. That is what my personal experience is. However, I feel in the RG car rape case, since the establishment is in power, the Trinamool, so the accountability also lies on them. The people who were the perpetrators of the crime were members of the ruling party. That is the whole question. They held important positions within the party. So you can't be protesting against your own party people, right? When Mamta Banerjee is walking the streets, what are you protesting against?
Yes.
You are protesting against. Is Mamta Banerjee protesting against Mamta Banerjee?
Yes.
So I feel it's done to kind of grab eyeballs.
Yeah.
But the question is not hitting home, because people were lampooning Mamta Banerjee. They said, who is she protesting against? It is her party that's in power.
Yeah.
And we being in the position, we have to hold the powers accountable for everything that happens in the state. And we were protesting on days of end. There were other people who were protesting on days on end, because after a very long time, we saw a woman who feels the safest at her workplace, at her home. And when she is raped in such a ruthless manner at her workplace and then murdered, there is a question mark on, everything that the government is doing and its policies. And I think we were all well within our rights to question that.
Absolutely no. But a job of a citizen is to protest in
Correct.
a democracy. But the job of an opposition is obviously to hold the other party in power accountable. I don't think that we saw CPIM do any of that. So I want to understand why didn't that happen? Or is there something that is happening that we are unaware of?
The whole movement, that during the RG car was led by the CPM people. It was all the young comrades and the civil society joined in. But if you see the whole movement, Reclaim the Night, it was started by the left. So the left has played a very pivotal role in the farmers' march, when the farmers were dying of suicide, or when these, draconian laws like the farm laws are being passed. And they have played a very pivotal role in mobilization of farmers and women whenever something retrograde happens in the country. I think the grassroots level mobilization is something that a lot of parties are not very adept at. But this is something that is the left's USP, that is mass mobilization, and that is what they've done brilliantly in whenever any important draconian law was being passed.
Understanding your ideology of the left, you've now written a book, Comrades and Comeback. I want to talk more about it.
Sure.
It's on the history of the left politics.
yeah.
What made you write it? Do you think that it's going to create some sort of an impact? We're very excited.
Yeah,
Tell
sure.
us.
Thanks, Aakriti. I just felt that there was some kind of lacune as far as the content and literature that is available for young readers like you, or for people who are working in the corporate world, or for backpackers, or somebody just commuting from work and back. Why do you need to go to a store that is like way off the mark, or you have to really flounder to get some content on the left movement of India? I wanted it available to every able reader, every bookworm, any nerd, every young person, right? Or it could be a corporate personality as well. And that is the reason how the ideation of the book started, that we need to kind of trace the first stirrings of the left movement in India, the contribution of the Indian emigres, in the Indian freedom struggle, who were there in USSR, how that played a pivotal role in the Indian freedom struggle. I also talk about how Netaji probably could have had left leanings, because a lot of the members of the INA eventually joined, the left movement. Then, whether Nehru had left leanings or not, people today, they wear t-shirts of Che Guevara, but they don't know what he stood for, right? They don't know that he played such a big part in the Cuban movement. People swear by Bhagat Singh, but are they aware that he was a leftist, and the kind of literature he was reading in jail, and he was a declared, Marxist and communist. So people today, I've seen political parties trying to appropriate a legacy of, our historical heroes, right? But it is reclaiming the legacy back to where it belongs.
Can you just simplify politics for a layman?
Yeah.
Like, I want to understand, because CPI M is left, but at the same time, it does advocate for dictatorship.
That is what the book about is. When I had a talk with Penguin, that people equate the Maoism and the Stalinism to the CPM. So if you see, when the party was formed, there's certain arms that broke away, right? There was a CPI, Communist Party of India. There's a CPI M, that is a Communist Party of India, Marxist. Then there's a CPI ML. So they are very different in ideologies, right? Now the CPIM believes, the Marxist wing believes in the democratic, socialist way of running a governance, okay, where people have the equitable sense of, the wealth distribution. But now in India, we need to put it into context and think that it is not really a communist country. And we need growth. So what is the new left about? The book is all about the new left, that here we are not, like encouraging strikes and saying now this big company is to shut shop. We are saying we want to encourage, entrepreneurship. We want jobs for the youth. We want people to be aspirational. And that is clearly what our last CM, Mr. Buddhadev Bhattacharya, was doing, trying to do in West Bengal. He was trying to come to a meeting ground between capitalism and communism, where, the panchayat system is in place, the people in the villages, in the tehsils are, they're taken care of, their needs are taken care of, the basics have been provided. At the same time, we cannot ignore that there's an urban population that is aspiring for MNCs, that is aspiring for the good life. And we're recognizing that. And I think every party over time evolves and grows, and it becomes a kind of a social, I wouldn't say social democrat, but it's important to be like a progressive left party where you are taking care of the aspirations of the youth, and at the same time you are taking care of the rural development as well.
Yeah. Why Calcutta is not able to let go of Mamta and TMC?
See, West Bengal, Kolkata, has a legacy of holding on or voting for the same political party. I mean, the left was in power for good more than 30 years, consecutively. So now with Mamta Banerjee, they are looking at her as more left than the left. That is how she came into power. Unfortunately, what has happened over the years, though she came in with a lot of support, it has got corroded with a lot of scams. We've seen the education scams that has kind of tethered at her, what do you call, at her party, because 26,000 people, candidates stand to lose the job because of the teacher recruitment scams. We've seen scams like Narda, Sharda happening. We've seen buildings fall down because so many illegal buildings in Kolkata, South especially, have cropped up over the years. So yeah, the party has been accused of corruption. Both at the local level. I mean, come on, the education minister is in jail, right? Mr. Partho Chatterjee is in jail, and it is unprecedented where a sitting education minister can be behind bars for such a serious scam.
Is it a cultural thing that people cannot resonate with anybody else but TMC?
See, I'll be honest with you. I'm not saying this because, I am a left leader or something. But I feel because the left is not in power in West Bengal and the people see Trinamool Congress as a very strong, antidote to the Bharatiya Janata Party. They feel that it's a very good alternative. कि बीजेपी से बचना है तो you have to kind of vote for the TMC. So they position themselves as the only political party that can fight for the BJP, but it is wrong. We've seen it because how else would you be giving tickets to BJP runaways or BJP, past ministers, right? And, if you look at the political party, TMC has been accused of engaging in competitive communalism just to eat into majoritarianism politics of West Bengal, which is, the Bhadralok Hindu Bengali. They're trying to capture that vote bank, so that is how politics gets played out.
Yeah. But as somebody who is living, eating, breathing politics, how do you see the country flow in the next 5 years?
I think the 2024 election in the national elections was a very good result, considering the position of the opposition greatly kind of improved drastically in the Lok Sabha. And I think that gives a resounding reply to people who had kind of become these authoritarian leaders, and they felt, 400 par and 500 par and all that nonsense that was happening. So I think it was a very good a slap to those, because I think in a democracy, if you do not share the power with the opposition, if you make it about one party, one religion, one language imposition, culture imposition, then we are, 10,000 miles away from democracy. We become like a draconian state, right? We don't remain a democracy. So I think the results are fabulous. I mean, today Rahul Gandhi is the official leader of the opposition now, and I hope the opposition collectively gets back with a bang.
Tell us some fun stories from Bollywood when you were young.
All right. I think Rekha is fun to hang around with. When we met her, I think
Oh, I
she's
love
quite
her.
ethereal to look at. I think my uncle was acting in a film and he's like, "Do you want to meet Rekha?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." Then when we were kids, suddenly we bumped into Amir Khan. We were watching a play, and he was a big heartthrob back in the day in 90s. And I think we couldn't sleep the entire night when we met Amir Khan, and we just kept talking about it on days on end. So yeah, we have met a lot of interesting people. Thanks to my uncle, and yeah, it's been an interesting experience.
Before I let you go, I want to also understand that you do a lot of debates.
Yeah,
Okay, I've been
yeah.
watching you, I think, ever since I was young
Yeah.
on a lot of these channels.
Yeah.
Tell me your experience when it comes to the news channel.
Okay. So, all right, that's a tricky one. But I'll say, like, well, almost everybody has been nice to me, but without naming them, there have been channels which I feel they're doing a lot of disservice because it's not news, end of the day. It's like pandering to TRPs. And they will do anything to gain that TRP through by kind of demeaning, like, a panelist who they don't agree with, right? They can mute you, they can put your volume down, and it kind of is very degrading to do that, because I feel a moderator or anchor's job is to be have at if, even if you're not fair, have the semblance of being a neutral person, irrespective of the political ideology, whether you're swinging right or whether you're swinging left. Unfortunately, a lot of them follow a certain, the model in US, like the Fox News or something, and they're doing it more for TRPs and these voyeurism. And I think a lot of people who come back from work actually enjoy the shouting matches. They come back from work
Yeah.
and they're like, wow, and they want to sloganeer after watching these shows, and they feel all is great, and I'm kind of just come back from some war, right? But they don't realize just a TV studio. It's not some war just because you are kind of perpetuating hate on social media. So the 9 p.m. debates,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it translates to a lot of hate in classrooms. The 9 p.m. debate becomes like the 9 a.m. conversation classroom where
Got it.
hate is perpetuated against the marginalized, the minorities, and other things, and that is the flip side of these TV debates.
Tell me what it's like to be a woman in politics.
It's very tough. I will say that it's not for the faint-hearted. Like being a woman, you have to be ready for more brickbats than bouquets, because it was very tough. Like last year, when you are on the jeep, you are canvassing for with your comrades on hours of ends, days you're having your periods, you don't know where to go, things like that. It's very tough. You're in a field, right? And they've told you that you will be on a jeep for six hours, right? And forget the physical part of it. It's also the emotional aspect. The trolling sometimes can get onto you, and you have to be above it and kind of negate what is being written about you. Because I used to come back from a very hard day of election, and Kolkata South means 7 constituencies. You're fighting against 7 MLAs, right? Whether people like it or not, you're a woman. Your asset is kind of marginalized.
Yeah.
Then you're a minority, so that's like a double whammy. Third, she's a liberal, right? So they don't know where to put you. Oh, she's not like, oh, I can't call her a jihadi. No, she's not a jihadi at all. Look at how she dresses up. Then they'll be like, oh, is she like, no, where do we put her? So, when they can't place you, that you're not like a conservative Muslim, you're not like a typical, what do you call, Bengali, so they can't make out where to put you in a box, and that becomes double kind of challenging, because you don't fit into any stereotypes. You're not dressed up like a conservative Muslim. At the same time, you're not dressed up as a traditional Bengali girl. You are a very progressive left liberal who's fighting a very hard election, and you happen to be from the minority community. So that's a triple whammy. It's very tough, I'll say that. It's like, please get into it only if you can survive panic attack or trolling and everything thrown at you. It's not easy.
You're advocating for women rights from CPI M, and I am sure there are many other women leaders across the nation that are doing the same. Tell me some experiences of your friends, your fellow colleagues, and people from probably other parties that you think are doing a good job.
Okay. So I think Mahua is doing a phenomenal job. I really admire for what she stands for, and we wish each other well. We are connected. We do exchange WhatsApps now and then. They are women leaders from different political party. I have some women friends from the BJP as well. Like we were all at a conference like 2 3 days ago in Goa. It was an all women's political network. There was Charu Pragya from the BJP, right? And we were all working in tandem on, how do we prepare some kind of like a policy draft for the government where we can safeguard women politicians from online harassment. Because we've seen how AI has kind of made women leaders susceptible to online trolling through the usage of bots and through the usage of trolls. Then you have digital technology, overtaking everything, right? We had these deep fakes, kind of floating on the net whenever any woman contestant is fighting an election. So how do we curtail that? So there will be women issues where, despite our respective ideologies, we would be on common ground. That is of being a woman and standing, of course, for 33% of women reservation in parliament. I think that is something that all of us would be on the same page. So irrespective of political ideology, there would be some meeting ground, because end of the day we are all women. So it was nice. I mean, I have a good equation with Shazia Ilmi, the spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. I have a lot of women friends from the Congress, and we all are on the panels. I meet them offline, online. Yeah.
You also have an NGO with your husband,
Right.
Kolkata Swast Sankalp. Please tell me more about it. How is it helping the people of West Bengal?
Sure. So, my husband believes, Dr. Fuad Halim, he believes in appropriate medicine because he's a he's a medical practitioner. So, something in health, because I feel the poor people, they don't get access to proper health care, because I think now even health care has got so privatized that a lot of poor patients cannot afford that kind of treatment. So I think till date, probably he's one of these, those medical practitioners who still charges, probably 50 rupees for, what's it called, the prescription. And how many doctors still do that? And if you talk about dialysis, during the pandemic, we had reduced a single dialysis session for 50 rupees. And that is made possible because of our patrons, friends who pool in, and we could make that facility available to people with, who need that dialysis machine.
What is your vision for it?
Vision is that we want to make it sustainable, because if you're making it 50 rupees, the idea, it should not be just for 1 year, 2 years. It has to be a sustained effort. And I think we are doing a phenomenal job in making, appropriate medicine available to all. Because sometimes it's just a boil. Sometimes you don't need that major surgery. Sometimes it is a normal cough and cold. You don't need to get an X-ray done or ultrasound done just because you have a cough and cold. I'm just using this metaphorically, of course. So I think poor patients, as it is very, hard on cash. We are not here to make life difficult for them. We are here to make the marginalized lives simpler. They should get the medical care and the attention that they deserve. I think that is the ethos behind Kolkata Swast Sankalp.
So I'm coming to the end of the podcast, and I always ask this one question to my guests. What is the one advice you have for anybody who wants to go beyond the border?
Okay. Beyond the border can be anything. Please do that. I think I have visited almost all of the SAARC countries, and I think it's been a brilliant experience. So do travel if you can, and do try and spread the message of peace and culture. Showcase your country to the best of your abilities, and do travel if you do get the opportunity. So, like I said, like I have represented my country in Tajikistan. I visited, my country in like so many different countries for the NAM conference, NAM, right? And Dhaka, I got the SAARC Women's Award in Dhaka a couple of years ago. So wherever you can, please do it. And I think one can save up and explore. There's so much to offer, and the perception of being an Indian also. that can also change by your behavior and by the way, you conduct yourself in a foreign country.
Okay, that's great then. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast.
Thank you for having me over. It was lovely. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you so much for staying until the end. To help us continue these conversations, please subscribe on YouTube and like and follow on Instagram and Spotify.